Namaste, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, the most honorable present Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, respected ministers and doctors, honorable advocates, advertisers, administrators and advisors, reverend fathers and mothers, affectionate sons and daughters, those who are listening, I thank all of you for your presence and listening with 100% present sense of mind. Dear friends, this is Dr. Rakesh from USA. Heartily, cordially welcome for your presence. Nice to see you, nice to talk you. It is nice place, nice section. You are listening, thanking, giving to, or thanksgiving to 2022, welcoming of 2023. Dear friends, our India has got 75 years after independence. Numberless initiatives we have taken in the different fields of agriculture, industry, means of communication, transportation, railways, post offices, and we should thank for every facility, comfortability, conveniences that were provided by our present rulers to our all Indians, not only in India but also abroad, those who are studying in the different universities all over the world, in Atlanta, Cambridge, Oxford, Edinburgh, Pennsylvania. In the different universities of the world, our Indian scholars are studying and doing research to do better, finer, nicer for the nature. Dear friends, nature is always friendly and familiar with us since time immemorial. And this example was given by our Indians to the foreigners, how we can deal all the natural disasters and calamities that come time to time, in not only in any particular part of this nation but all over the world. Wherever such kind of situation are created, then our India plays a great role for dealing, tackling, handling with such kind of adverse circumstances of the atmosphere and environment. Our India basically is known as the nation of initiators, beginners and starters. So every Indian proud for being an Indian, being an initiator of the new year. This is the last day of 2022 and we have reported, achieved a lot of numberless progresses in the different fields, and for that we are to thank our seniors, higher authorities, our old aged people and our ancestors, those who came first on this land in the form of free thinker, messengers, freedom fighters. They came in India. It is really a matter of proud when we celebrate any festival at any day or at any occasion. How do we celebrate? It happens usually we recollect and remember the history and past of that festival, and we celebrate it enjoyfully, entertainingly. How we can generate and regenerate, create and recreate, operate and reoperate newnesses in the new year. Our youngsters can play a great role, because youngsters have a great energy to turn the situations, to turn the table. So dear friends, we must adopt the Indian philosophy of being multidimensional, multi-sided and multifaceted, to play the role of omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent God, who He is, who He was, and who He will. He is in the center of all our body organs universally. And how we can understand His omnipotency, His omnipresenceness? It happens usually when we meditate and we get up early in the morning before the sun rising, between 2 to 5. This time is really fruitful time. All our youngsters study and sports, if they spend their maximum time in learning something new, doing something better, finer than before, then it can become possible. For that, we are to spend our time with nature. As per the observation and examination of the nature, you can read, you can go through writings of William Wordsworth, who has written, this nature plays multidimensional and multi-sided role in our life. How? Because nature nurtures us like a mother. Nature treats us like a doctor. Nature teaches us like a teacher. Nature guides us like a guide. So how a man can know his presence, his availability in the world? Only through the present sense of nature. When we spend our time with nature, then this nature makes our life colorful. Our nation is a multi-linguistic nation, multicultural nation. Constitutionally, it is said that there is no discrimination on the basis of any caste, color, creed and language, but all are equally treated and accepted by our nation. So there should not be any difference. From the new year, we should forget all kind of envies, ego, variousness, falsification, jealousies and infinities, narrownesses, frustrations that we have. We can keep them away from us from the new year. It should be in our heart and mind. It should be in our actions. It should be in our thought. Very good morning to all of you. Those who are listening, may God bless all of you. And we are to forget all our depressions, frustrations. Okay. Whatsoever depressions, frustrations we had in our past time, we are to forget them and we are to get rid from them by keeping the view of newness. We must generate and recreate our new ideas and thoughts for the new year. It happens usually when we read the history of 14th, 15th and 16th century history. Shri Guru Nanak Dev Ji Maharaj, who born in 1469. Then we read an important event. India was discovered by Vasco da Gama in 1498. There was the birth of William Shakespeare in 1564. And in the mid of these centuries, we read very important event, that was the first effort did by Indians as the first battle for freedom in 1857. Later on in 1869, there was the birth of Swami Vivekananda and Mahatma Gandhi. Both these personalities born in India. So this is a matter of proud for us to bring name fame of our nation. It was Swami Vivekananda who addressed the worldly people in 1893 by addressing, appealing, advocating that my brothers and sisters of the America. Dear friends, constitutionally when we read the constitution, then you will go through that. Our constitution is the most representative book of the Indian cultural episodes. All the traits, features, characteristics that we read in the constitution, that are taken from the constitution of the world. The greatest thing for our Indians is that is the democracy, concept of democracy. In the concept of democracy, we read that by the people, of the people, for the people. So likely that this concept we find in the nature, same concept we feel in our human body. So these concepts are resembled, have so many similarities. Dear friends, this is the last day of the year. Last but not the least. Last but not the last turning. We should understand, because this human body is mortal, perishable. We are not forever, but our soul, our spirit, our words, our thoughts, ideas, opinions are forever. Why do we remember our forefathers, foretellers, forecasters, freedom fighters, social reformers? Because of their devotion, dedication, sacrifice. Thereby we are taking breaths freely. Thereby we are thinking opinions freely. How it is being happened? It is the great contribution of our freedom fighters and messengers, those who sacrificed their life for others. Selflessly they spent their time. Through the sayings of our present Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, we learn a lot. Dear friends, thanks, welcome, welcome, welcome all of you, those who are watching and listening, paying their most useful time. Nice to see all of you, nice to listen all of you, nice to talk to you. Dear friends, our present Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, whose role model is Swami Vivekananda, who has given us many tasks to do for our nation, being a true nationalistic and patriotic person of this society and nation. When we count these years, just after 90 years of first battle of freedom, 1857, our India got freedom in 1947. So this was the time of 1947 when India got rebirth, or we can say new birth. This was the new birth in the form of politics, economics, society, on the basis of personal thinking, professionally, economically, politically. There were so many entrances in which India entered and enjoyed a lot in 1947. Now this is the time of completion of the 2022. In this year, a lot of experiences, all of the people with having 125 crore people experienced a lot, collected a lot of things in their mind from the ups and downs in the environment and atmosphere. Physically, personally, professionally, they have felt a lot of things. But now we are to take an oath. We are to determine for the 2023 with a new energy. That energy which was supposed to reproduce, recreate by our social reformer Swami Vivekananda, who addressed to the worldly people by saying that return to the Vedas, return your childhood, return to your past. There are so many similarities we feel among such personalities, those who came first on this Indian land. So everyone has the power to understand his birth. Everyone is special on this earth. Dear friends, on the basis of the all holy scriptures, all holy scriptures that were written by our all holy forefathers, foretellers, forecasters, they spent their maximum time with nature. So we are to take the lesson from them. What were the common concept of their mind and thought? That was the nature. One nature that we see around us in the form of the sun in the daytime, the moon at the night time, and the earth on which we live. There are so many parts of nature, elements and objects of nature we have around us in the form of air, fire, soil, sky and water. These are also the parts and particles of that nature of God. So one nature inside the human mind and inside the human heart, inside the all body organs of human body, that can be understood only by doing the research, true research, by repetition of the holy words of Holy Lord or God, that we listen time and again. Until and unless we will not go deep in understanding such concepts, we can find only in that sense when we will be the true researcher. So dear friends, today, now and here, we are to keep our mind for having the presence of Lord or God. It is very necessary. Through the social media, we have been attached. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Google. We have invented and innovated a lot of things in this year, up to this year. But India cannot break, cannot stop at any place. When we go through the history of 19th and 20th century period, there was revolution in industrialization period. Everyone was running after collecting materialistic goods. So ultimately there was First World War and Second World War. There was the creation of inhumanity, dehumanization. So similarly, we have to understand, if we will not thank the Lord or God for the achievements that we have got from our other agencies, then it means revolution in information technology may prove curse for us. So for the blessings, we are to thank the God for His presence everywhere, every time, wherever we are to thank for Him, and we are to respect, welcome, thank this holy motherland nationalistically and patriotistically. It should be our aim. For what purpose a man has come on this earth? We must remember and recollect in our memory these things for enhancing the talents, manners, skills, styles of our youngsters. Our present Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has started a lot of initiatives in the field of railways, post offices, communications, telecommunications, roads, and everybody is responsible for using and investing his time in accounting the such blessings of Lord or God. There is the blessing of and grace of God behind every achievement that we are using and consuming nowadays in this present time. Why do we forget the him? Why do we forget that super spiritual power of God or Lord? Who he is, who he was, and who he will in past, present, and future. Omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent, always with us. Dear friends, our India is the distinct and matchless, uncommon, extraordinary country because of its different varieties, variations, adversities. But unity in diversity is counted as the greatest feature of our nation. That's thereby we are able to explore, we are able to expose, to be exporter of the greatnesses in our life. But how can it become possible for us? Just by devotion and dedication. If someone will sacrifice his personal deeds, personal interest for the others, then it will be the great lesson for the new year, for the 2023. Our all youngsters, learners, scholars, those who are studying in schools, colleges and universities, they are at home today and they must thank for 2022 and should welcome 2023 tomorrow with full of energy, full of excitement, encouragement, because every day is new day for Indians. It is the great feature and trait of this cultural and climatic changes of this nation. Dear friends, we must remember our forefathers and foretellers. We never leave our nationalistic, spiritualistic values of our nation at any rate. Whether we have become modern or Western in the different fields of the different sectors of economy, politics, society, science, commerce, arts and engineering. The heaven of freedom, where the mind is without fear, was written by Rabindranath Tagore. This Rabindranath Tagore, who got first Nobel Prize in literature in 1913. Dear friends, Rabindranath Tagore, 1861 to 1941, contributed immensely to giving modern India a place on the world literary scene. Was a multifaceted personality. He was a poet, dramatist, short story writer and novelist. He was also a philosopher and a nation builder. He wrote primarily in Bengali but translated a number of his own works into English, and he wrote them afresh. Yesterday, our present Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji inaugurated Vande Express Railway. So many initiatives our present Prime Minister is taking. Dear friends, the mother of our present Prime Minister, who is the most adorable and respected for us, who has given us the Lord or God of this holy motherland of India. for recreating and regenerating the talents of our youngsters. Dear friends, we are to take an oath in Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. We are to keep continue how we can get the freedom of our mind, thought, ideas, and how our India can become independence. We should never stop at any place. When we go through the history, we learn that in 1945, on 13th of December, Subhash Chandra Bose unfurled the flag of India in Andaman Nicobar. So there are so many events in the history that are similarized with such days, with such events. We should remember and keep them in our mind for refreshing our futuristic generation, for providing them the path of sacrifice. The Heaven of Freedom is one of Tagore's most anthologized poems. It is an expression of its reflective spirit and contains a simple prayer for his country. The India of pre-independence times, the prayer, however, has a universal appeal. The poet wishes for a world which is not fragmented by prejudices based on caste, creed, color, religion, or superstition. Prejudices and superstitions should not divide the people and break their unity. Dear friends, for the deep knowledge of such things, you must go through. This is written by Oliver Goldsmith, who wrote in his philosophy that you can love your country without hating with another country. With having cosmopolitan outlook for the nation, he wants a nation where people are truthful, not superficial, and where words come out from the depth of their hearts. The sixth line talks about the poet's yearning for a country where people would strive without getting tired to reach perfection, leaving behind prejudices and old traditions. In the next line, Tagore wants the power of reason to dominate the minds of his countrymen. He does not want the stream of reason to be lost amongst outdated customs and traditions. So we understand from his poem, The Heaven of Freedom, where the mind is without fear. It has been taken from that. Send a message that only that society can lead to progress, which is free from all social evils. The poet therefore prays to God to create an ideal society for his motherland. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Where knowledge is free. Where knowledge is free, where the word has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Where words come out from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. So what a great lesson, what a great teachings was written by Rabindranath Tagore, are being similarized and resembled with Swami Vivekananda's thoughts, who gave the message to the worldly people, Bharat Jago, Vishwa Jagao. His slogan, his thought is today dominating all the worldly sacrificial bodies in our ruling class, in our governing class of this present time. So we should always remember the presence of Lord or God. As per that analysis, observations, Swami Vivekananda advocated to the worldly people. By his voice, he created the upheaval in the minds of the people, in the ministries, scientists, doctors, those who were present at that time. They heard the voice of Swami Vivekananda, who kept his ideas through the oneness, uniqueness, and equality of Indianness. Death be not proud, which is written by John Donne. John Donne, the founder of the metaphysical school of poetry, was born in a Catholic family in 1572. He is known for the electrifying sermons he delivered, but is best known for his poems, among which the sonnet, especially the holy sonnets, stands out. His sonnets deal with the grave aspects of life. The 10th poem in his collection, Holy Sonnets, is the sonnet Death Be Not Proud. The title of the poem is very impressive, knowledgeable, informative, instructive, and directive for the readers, for the listeners and watchers. Those who have been listening, I respect, welcome all the subscribers. Thank all of you, and you will get a lot of knowledge from this poem by listening such spiritualistic thoughts of the John Donne. It was published posthumously. It was published posthumously in 1633. The poet, as a staunch Catholic, believed in rebirth. The poem is an expression of this belief that death is like a sleep after which one can wake with more vigor and power. Moreover, death cannot overtake anyone. It is slave to fate, chance, king, and desperate men. Thus, death cannot kill anyone on its own. The poet therefore suggests death be not proud, because it is not mighty and powerful death. Consequently, is no more than a sleep, a long sleep, no doubt, but a sleep from which there is a waking. Moreover, while it lasts, it is a restful sleep. The poem is a Petrarchan sonnet. In the Petrarchan sonnet, John Donne expressed his ideas, also known as Italian or Miltonic sonnet, and therefore consists of the octave and the sestet. In the octave, the poet asks death to not be puffed up with pride, for it is not mighty and dreadful, neither can it will anyone. Death is much more pleasant than sleep, for it gives rest to our body and release to our soul. In the concluding sixth line forming the sestet, the poet says that death is a slave, because it can come only when we are fated to die or are consigned to death by our fellow human beings, or fall victim to accident or sickness. Death is like a short sleep, for after death also one is reborn. The Christian belief that at the end of the world all the dead will rise from their graves and appear before God for the final judgment underlines the poem. Death be not proud. What a great title was selected by John Donne for the listeners and learners of English literature, language and grammar, those who are studying and preparing themselves for appearing in NET and SLET examination of English literature. They must go through these lines. What kind of title, straightforward title, was selected by John Donne? Death be not proud. Death be not proud. Means it seems as if the poet is directly provoking and addressing, talking, interacting with death. Being friendly and colloquial manner is being used here, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful. For thou art not so, for those whom thou king thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me from rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be. Much pleasure, then from thee much more must flow. And soonest our best men with thee do go, rest of their bones and souls delivery. Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men, and dost with poison, war, and sickness dwell. And poppy or charms can make us sleep as well, and better than thy stroke, thy swelled thou then, one short sleep past we wake eternally, and death shall be no more, death thou shalt die. Dear friends, it is written in our all holy scriptures by Saint Kabir that what does he say about death? जिस मरने ते जग डरे, मेरे मन आनंद, इस मरने ही ते पाइये पूर्ण परमानंद. Means if a man want to get perfect ecstatic joy, then he should die while living in his body for the unification of soul with super spiritual power of soul, then it can be possible. What is the difference between intra and entra? The concept of individual differences is fundamental in any progressive system of education. It is a modern concept and has emerged into a light and prominence only in recent times. Rheology, on account of the researches in the field of educational psychology, it has been proven beyond all doubts that no two individuals are exactly similar. Every individual is a new experiment in the hands of nature, and though all human beings look alike in their visible fundamentals, that are the body and the limbs of the body, they differ widely in their physical, mental, and emotional characteristics. C. E. Skinner is of the view that today any measurable quality of a personality can be included in the study of individual differences. James Driver, 1968, defining individual differences, say variations or deviations from the average of the group with respect to mental or physical characteristics occurring in the individual members of the group. Educational significance of individual differences. The modern education theory and practice puts more and more emphasis on the realities and implications of individual differences. The traditional practice of education and teaching took all children to be more or less alike. The consequently mass system or class system of teaching was considered to be the ideal system. No attention was paid to the individuality of the child. In fact, the concept of individual differences has come to the forefront by the introduction of psychology in the field of education. Pastology was mainly responsible for psychologizing education and consequently giving increasing importance to the individual differences. Forbel and Madame Montessori also emphasized the fact of individual differences, and consequently it was strongly advocated that individual methods of teaching should be adopted, or at least individual attention must be paid to the pupils in the class, which means that their peculiar problems and difficulties in learning must be attended to. In the words of H.R. Bhatia, 1000 recognition and acceptance of individual differences among pupils is fairly widespread among teachers, but educational practice for the most part is still planned as if pupils were all of one price, more or less equally capable of profiting by instruction. Teaching is done on mobile without any consideration of individual differences in interests, in mental abilities, in rates of mental growth and learning, in interests and aptitudes, and in other competencies. The school is interested in individual differences insofar as they are revealed in the mastery of different subjects of study, and its emphasis is on careful understanding and diligence. The individual differences in mental ability are ignored, but children have different goals, different interests, different emotional problems, and different abilities. And if our goal is to provide equal educational opportunities for the optimum development of all our children, we shall have to adapt the content, method, programs, and patterns of educational activity to the varying needs, interests, and abilities of children. On the basis of this explanation, implications may be drawn. As far as possible, individual differences among children should be detected at an early age. As far as possible, individual methods of teaching should be adopted. Individual attention should be paid by the teacher in the class, as every student has his peculiar differences. Since the individual differ in their abilities and interest, a large number of subjects of study should be provided by the school. This way, the students will have a wider choice in the selection of the subjects they offer for study. As there are marked differences in intelligence of these pupils, the teacher cannot expect all of them to make progress in studies at equal pace and at equal pace. Students therefore should be allowed to progress at their own rate. Individual difference widely in their potentialities, capabilities, aptitudes, interests, etc. Therefore, it is imperative arrangements be made to provide educational and vocational guidance to the pupils individually. Causes of individual differences. Each child is a unique individual and differs from every other and presents individual problems. Individual differences among children are related to their development state and at a time. The development state refers to, on the one hand, to the level of maturation, and on the other to the resultant of the process of growth and effects of experience. The causes of individual differences are interaction of heredity and environment. A large number of individual differences are caused by the interactive process of heredity and environment. To each child, heredity provides the potential, and the dynamic forces of environment act upon that potential in a different way. Galton 1879 for the first time made the scientific study in the field of individual differences. P. N. Wingfield in on of his study calculated the correlation coefficient of IQ in the mammals related A2 family. He concluded following correlations to coefficient: identical twins 90, fraternal twins 70, brothers 50, parents and children 0 to 31, first cousins 0 to 0.27, grandparent and grandchildren 0 to 0.16, and unrelated children gave zero correlation. Apart from NL 1968 in his book of General Psychology writes that the life of all of us begins in the same way, but as we grow we differ from each other. The only answer to this difference is that we have different heredity. Heredity is a type of heretical power by which the parental and ancestral qualities are transmitted to the children. Apart from mental abilities filled in individual differences, heredity is a basic factor responsible for individual differences in the field of mental abilities and in other fields of individual differences. Environment is a potent factor which leads to individual difference. It is believed that the inhabitants of warm countries are lazy and people of cold climate are industrious. Climate, physical exercise, and nutrition modify our growth. Well developed traditions, customs, laws, and institutions, which are parts of social environment, help and modify the development of the child. Social environment and education influence individuals more than the physical environment. Culture, apart from the environment, culture also affects individual differences in an important way. People of different cultures have different behavior patterns and personality traits. And that too in different quantities. Some people of different culture have different social values, social rules and taboos, therefore they have different behavior patterns and characteristics. Difference in socio-economic backgrounds. Some of the differences are caused by differences in socio-economic backgrounds. These differences are seen in pupils' reaction patterns. Differences in socio-economic backgrounds may lead to differences in diet, cultural opportunities, ideals, attitudes and adjustive actions or activities, or in family behavior habits. The individual can be guided rightly only if we are able to determine the real cause of difference and measure the traits of ability that is responsible for such differences. Educational implication. The aim of education is to prepare the individual for complete living, but in traditional system of education, this objective of education cannot be entirely fulfilled. The teacher thinks that all children are of equal mental ability and accordingly he adopts the same method of teaching without paying any heed to individual differences. But to fulfill the objectives of education, a true knowledge of the individual difference is essential. The knowledge of individual differences required for one is homogeneous grouping. Individual differences compels us to think in terms of homogeneous grouping of classes according to the level of intelligence. In certain advanced countries, students are classified into three streams. Students of higher intelligence are put in A stream, average students in B stream, and those who have lower intelligence are put in C stream. Individualized education. Modern individualized education emphasizes the marked individual differences of human nature. The project method, Dalton plan, Venectin plan, etc. attempts to adjust education to the nature of the individual. Adjustment of teaching methods. In view of the individual differences, many new methods of teaching have been devised. Individuals differ from one another as regards their interest. Nowadays, this fact has been utilized in the adjustment of teaching to the special interests of the students. Proper assignment. The home assignment which is given to the student should be according to individual difference. The teacher should modify the assignment in amount, quality and difficulty according to individual capacity of the students. Multi-purpose curriculum. Curriculum should be constructed on the basis of individual difference. Nowadays, various types of curriculum have been devised to cater to the needs and interest of the students. Activity curriculum, experience curriculum, integrated curriculum, life-centric curriculum, core and diversified curriculum. Dear friends, as you have heard about the different sectors of our nation, in economy, politics, society, Science, commerce, arts and engineering, it needs fundamentals in all the educational sectors that are to be provided in the form of air, fire, soil, sky and water. Our human body, which is the supreme out of all the 84 lakh species, in the chapter of the Genesis through the Holy Bible, not only through the Holy Bible but all the holy scriptures of our holy land, as we read, there are common teachings for enhancing the talents of our youngsters. We must pay proper time to them. So it is really nice time, nice place, nice section. You are listening the truth of science to spirituality, language to literature. Thanks for your listening. Thanks for your presence. May God bless all of you for the new year. Thanks 2022 and welcome 2023 with great smile with on every citizen of the people. May God bless all the worldly people. Vasudev Kutumbakam. Jai Bharat.